Namaste everyone. I am Yashaswini Bharadwaj, and today we'll be discussing the topic of overweight, and especially in context of females. So, when we speak of being overweight or underweight, then we come to the question of what is the ideal weight, and what is it the fixed number? Is it a range, or and what are the things that should be considered when you think of ideal weight? Because it can vary on many things. And the other thing is that whenever we speak of being overweight, we have a picture of mostly the adulthood. We uh, we tend to often skip the life before that. That is, it could be during the childhood or even from infancy, adolescence, all of these things. So I would like to touch base on most of these topics, although we do not have time to go in detail of everything. In today's presentation or in today's discussion, I would like to present before you all of these aspects, and then we see what are the important things to consider, and yeah, we'll see about it. And so we start with the question of what builds the weight in the body, what brings weight to the human body. So 60% of the weight of our body is made of, or it's composed by water. It's the water percentage. And then comes the fat, and then comes the muscles and bones and things like that. So although in density it is the bone and then the muscle, but actually the things that build weight in the body is mostly water and fat. And that is why whenever we speak of being overweight, it is also about increase in fat percentage of the body.
Mhm.
And there are two ways to look at this composition. One is you call it overweight when you look at the numbers. You say that this is the ideal BMI, and if it is over 25, it is overweight. But even if it is over 25 or under 25, I think there should be the other consideration of weight, and that is what Ayurveda looks at it. The perspective of Ayurveda is that it is an ideal weight until your body can manage it properly. So if your body is managing all of its functions properly, and you are feeling in the proper manner, that the way you have to feel according to your prakriti, it is the function of your mind as well as the body, then that is an ideal weight. Then that is your ideal situation. If at all it is causing some kind of excessive strain on your system, stress on your system, or it is causing a bit of obstruction to your daily functioning, either psychological functioning, that is being alert and being agile and all that, or it could be physical functioning, then that is the phase of weight gaining in a pathological way. So right from that point, you would be disbalanced, and we call it as an increased weight. So Ayurveda doesn't necessarily look at the number only. It looks at the person's prakriti. And so the composition of fat and water in a Vata Prakriti person would be different. The composition of the same in a Pitta person would be different, and Kapha person would be different. And the rest of the rest of the build of these people are also different, and hence, what is the ideal weight of a Vata person or a Pitta person and Kapha person are all different. And what becomes an overweight in a Vata person may not be an overweight in a kapha person. And even if the numbers are the same for a vata person that is already overweight, because it is causing some kind of impairment or stress or strain in that person's physical or psychological functioning. And hence it is important to distinguish between the personalities, even though, I mean, specifically when we talk about the ideal weight. Then, of course, there's distribution of weight. There is more of the fat accumulation in the periphery, and that will be going towards peripheral obesity. Or there could be more of the accumulation in central area, that is the visceral part, and that will be leading to central obesity. At times, it could also be a combination of both. So, all of these things about obesity, I'm sure everybody knows about it. So, let me come to the important part of how it happens. See, from Ayurvedic perspective, we look at it from two main aspects. One is where the body is still in the building phase and it is going on building. And the other is where there is blockage, and hence it is going on accumulating only on one side of the body and not getting distributed to the rest of the areas. And when it is the block, then the kind of presentation you would find would be different. And when it is this excessive growth, then the presentation will be different. In the case where there is excessive growth, then there could be again two ways. One is where the body is sensing a threat, and that is why it is increasing the growth. Or the other one is where the limits of the body has been compromised. The feedback mechanism is ignored, and the limit of where to stop has been eroded, and that is why it just goes on increasing. So this is a loss of higher functions, and that is either you could call it it is in the brain or it is in the mind.
Okay. And the first one, the threat of what kind do you mean here?
You mean the block?
Yeah, you said the first one was the body recognizes the threat and the growth is a response to the threat.
Yes,
What do you mean by the threat?
Threat in the sense it could be a threat of starvation, that there will be excessive requirement, and that is why it is accumulating. So if it is expecting more expenditure of energy, it will go on storing. So that the sense that there is going to be more expenditure, and that is why it has to store more, is a kind of threat. That has had the history of being malnourished, or being extremely physically active, or being nomadic. Like they are the ones that are traveling extensively, or it is the population where genetically they have the memory of either the famine or poverty or malnourishment being carried. Then that is also an internal threat, the memory of internal threat. So in all of these populations, you would see that a body naturally tries to store more, because that is what is ingrained in their DNA. So these are the genetic causes of obesity. Ethnically, you can associate obesity to certain age groups or certain population in a certain manner. say you would say that Mexicans or Latinos are usually, specifically women, they are usually associated with a certain type of obesity, or in the lower and middle socioeconomical groups. Women are more tending towards obesity or being overweight in certain age group. So all of these come from this genetic predisposition, or the information that is carried in the DNA to store more. And it need not be always unhealthy. We have to just know the reason to. So hence, the way the mind acts or the brain acts in releasing the hormone that is, or hormones or enzymes that are related with appetite and hunger, and how the body metabolism is organized in different type of different sets of people. It could be the prakriti, or it could be this background, whatever is there in either the genes or epigenetic factors. All of these would cause for, or all of these should be taken into account when we speak of what is an ideal weight and what is the way it is getting accumulated or depleting. So that brings us to this concept of Ayurvedic pathology, or Ayurvedic understanding of the accumulation of fat in the body. And as I said, we can classify it into two main categories. One is where there is an excess, and the other one is where there is a strain. So when there is an excess, that is called as santarpana. So the excess could be in the form of excess availability of the substances, or the substances being extremely nutritious as well, and extremely nutritious substance in higher quantity. Or it could also be about the excess of luxury in matter of lifestyles, so that there is less physical activity, there is less mental activity, and there is less of expenditure of the energy that is being collected. So overall, it indicates towards having a very good kind of food, which is nutritious and calorie rich and all, and less expenditure in terms of physical activity, mental activity, or general lifestyle. So there is high amount of satisfaction in this kind of population, and satisfaction in the sense there is no impetus to be performing. There is no challenge as is. So they are quite content in life, and happily placed as well. Most of the time they are happy and easy to go with. And the basic pathology comes from being lazy and happy to accumulate. I mean, this laziness is internal mechanism. I'm not speaking of the external laziness. The laziness of the system to trigger a strong feedback mechanism to stop growing. That doesn't exist, and the hypothalamus, or all of the brain centers that are responsible to heed to the feedback mechanism and to give out that kind of response to reduce the appetite, or to reduce the tendency to eat more, or to trigger the tendency to be more active. All of those are very subdued. So this is something that we see very often in the form of luxurious lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, and high calorie as well as highly nutritious food being available all the time. Along with all of those things, like you can name the processed foods, as well as ultra processed foods and alcohol, and all of these fat rich foods. They all come under the category of santarpanajanya. They all lead to the santarpanajanya, overweight or obesity. So in this type of overweight or obesity, the effect would be more of a pressure effect. So there is excessive accumulation, and because of this excessive accumulation, the weight would be putting pressure on other, it is the volume as well as the weight that is putting pressure on other parts of the body. There is no other pathology mostly. It is all due to excessive size as well as excessive weight. The second type is what we can put as a stress journey. So stress comes in various forms. Of course, there is psychological stress, physiological stress, and you can say or circumstantial stress. But what I would like to point out here is this stress, whatever comes from our living conditions, is something that triggers the body to expect more activity, or all of those things convert into a challenge or a crisis situation. And you can go through the cascade of hormones, right, from cortisol, and how cortisol being getting converted from cholesterol, and cholesterol metabolism in liver, and how liver gets affected, how adrenal glands get affected, how thyroid gets involved, and all of that. But to simplify all of these mechanisms, it is the response of stress. And stress is an existential crisis. So body is under threat, and what is the natural response of the body when it is under threat? That it starts accumulating for all of the stressful condition that it remembers, that the genes remember. And in all of these stressful conditions, the genes remember to stock more so that you don't run out of energy. So that is the first thing it does, that it accumulates raw materials. Suppose, because historically, human race has always suffered with malnutrition or lack of resources. It has never been a case where there is abundant of resources. So genetically, that is what stress meant, that you need to back up. And it is not just that. During a stressful circumstance, there are all other types of mechanisms going on in the body as well. The optimization of every function in the body. It is high adrenaline and always in the state of fight or flight. So the reactions are, or the system that runs the body is not the healthy system. It is a crisis system. So the process of digestion is also not in its normal form. The process of metabolism is also not in its normal form. And hence, stress is a combination of both inflammatory as well as accumulative process. It is not just simply happy accumulation as in the former case or as in the case of Santarpana type. It is always hyperactive as well as hyper-storing circumstance. And when this happens, there are a lot of areas that can go wrong. And so what goes wrong primarily? Because there is, it is also dependent on activities, and activities are primarily run by the functioning of the thyroid. I'm speaking of metabolic activities here. So metabolic activities are primarily run by the functioning of thyroid. Thyroid functioning goes wrong. And it is also dependent on how we eat and what happens to the substances that is consumed, and how it is converted into either energy or stored energy, active energy or stored energy, and that is the function of insulin. And so insulin cycle goes out of hand. And so the stored aspects are deranged. The active aspects are deranged. That is, the stored aspect, I mean here, It could be in the form of glycogen, or it could be in the form of cholesterol, or it could be even in the form of adipose collection all over the body. And the active part of the same energy that we have consumed is the sugar in the blood, or it could also be the fat cells that are broken down to produce more energy. So this is the active part, and we also have a good amount of stored part. Now, if there is imbalance in this, and if there is more going into the storage and less in the active, then that is a crisis response. As I said, it is the stress response. If there is good amount of substance going into the active phase and building of all of the tissues along with being stored, then that is the kind of that is what we discussed in the first part, that is Santarpana type. So we have two ways of or two clear ways of how ideal weight is disrupted. One is where there is a good amount of distribution, the irrational distribution of substances going into the building up of all of the tissues, going to the normal functioning of the body, and the excess going into the storage. The second is where there is a stress response. Some of the substances are pushed into being stored necessarily, and only a minimal amount is being going into the regular functioning of the body as a response to stress. So body is living on minimum and storing the maximum.
Okay, could you please explain once more about the active part? You said the active component, the energy is blood sugar, and what else was there?
The fat cells being broken down into, the fatty acids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. That comes into conversion of energy again. So when it is living out of stress, then the other functions, or whatever are the usual functions of the body, regular healthy functions of the body, are all challenged. And one of the systems that gets highly affected is the reproductive system. The ovarian hormones, the functions of the ovarian hormones could be altered, and even the other systems, like it could be cardiovascular system, or the immunity, all of these things get altered here. Now, when we speak from Ayurvedic perspective, we can recognize or we can categorize them into four main phases probably, and that will come to that. So in the Agni phase, what we can put it as Agni phase, there we would either see two types of Agni. One is there is excessively low Agni, and that causes karma, and that causing obesity. That is one of the type. The other type is Agni being normal, or it is being excessive itself. But this excessive Agni, that is leading to proper digestion. But in the next phase, the Pitta phase, because in case of strain or a stress situation, in this phase, Pitta and Vata gets mixed up, and that causes the beginning of Pitta, the abnormal system. So it could be the low Agni that causes the overweight condition, or it could be a combination of Vata and Pitta in the next or the subsequent chain of events that causes the pathology. In any of these pathologies, there would be a kapha phase where there is increase of accumulation of the Medu Dhatu. and kapha. So there is accumulation of Meda Dhatu, and it will anyway cause the obstruction, either by the normal accumulation or even by the pathological accumulation. It will eventually go and cause the obstruction to the channels or the srotas. And then we reach to a absolute vata phase of obesity or overweight, which is a very morbid condition.
Okay, so could you please explain, are those phases consequential? Do they follow after each other, or can they go
Yes.
simultaneously? How exactly is it?
No. They the Agni phase and Pitta or Vata Pitta phase can be can exist independently, but from the Kapha phase and from the conversion of Kapha phase to Vata phase are always linear, and they follow in the same order.
Okay, thank you.
It is more and more.
So Agni phase and Pitta phase, they are kind of alternatives, and the rest is consequential.
Yes. And the specific problems in females are most of these are well known. Of course, when there is obesity or increased weight, you expect hormonal imbalances. The basic hormones of the regular physiology, as well as female-specific hormones. And this combination can give rise to menstrual disorders right from the age of menarche or before menarche itself. It can influence the puberty, it can influence the regular menstrual cycle, the functioning of the reproductive system overall, from menarche to throughout the fertile periods. And of course, there could be infertility due to various reasons. First of all, when the menstrual cycle itself is abnormal, there would be questions about ovulation, and all of these things can produce infertility. There could be complications with pregnancy as well, overweight and obesity leading to different kind of metabolic as well as other type of complications during pregnancy is well known, like type 2 diabetes or even eclampsia or pre-eclampsia and birthing difficulties. They're all present with being overweight or obese. And same way with the menopause again. And polycystic ovarian syndrome or the disease itself is a collection of many of these type of problems that are associated with either santalpana or stress. It can come in from both the directions, but the outcome is same, that it is compromising the regular functioning of the reproductive system, and has an impact on all of these aspects which are related with overweight or obesity. To counter this, or management of overweight or obesity mainly comes from, as you know, by the diet and lifestyle aspects. These things are very much discussed, but there is something over that as well, and that is how we maintain our thoughts. There are many cases, or most of the cases you take with overweight or obesity comes up with one common line, that they're trying to lose weight and it is so difficult to lose weight. And this statement itself has two backgrounds. One is the effort that someone has put into losing weight and how the body is not being cooperative. And the second is the psychological stress of the effort, that they are trying to lose weight and it is not happening, and that builds an extra stress to the mind. So first and foremost, in the approach, you have to think of what is the ideal weight for your body. And it doesn't come from the market standard. It doesn't come from what the beauty standards or all of these numbers. It comes from what feels healthy for your body. Identifying your body and understanding the genetic history and why your body is behaving the way it is behaving is very important to solve this problem. So it always goes to the genetics plus something, and that is epigenetics. And to sort all of these together, it comes from the thoughts that we generate. So about diet and lifestyle as well, we have said this is very short time that we are discussing, and that is why, as I said, I'm just touching the tip of the hat of many areas. But I would like to again stress that a diet and lifestyle, we have a detailed discussion of the diet and what should be the way we, what is the ideal way to cook food, what are the substances that could be used for all of these purposes. All of these things are detailedly discussed in the Ahara Kalpana course that we have. And lifestyle would come in the relevant context, but the thoughts are also equally important. And the more detail about obesity and all of these disorders, specifically the way it applies to female health, we have this course coming up in November, and that would be a pretty intensive course. And we go into the details of the mechanism, pathology, as well as the remedies in that course. So I would recommend this course to everybody who are all interested in knowing this topic in more detail. It is an important topic, and that is why I would not be doing any kind of injustice by giving half information about everything. So this is just introductory what we have today, and because it is an important topic, we'll be dealing it with all of its, all the respect that it deserves. So that would be done in the course. We'll have more time there. So I invite you all for that, and so we'll hope to see you all there. So I'll be happy to take any questions if at all they're there. And
yes, we have some questions here. Okay, so we discussed two mechanisms. One, when obesity may start at the phase of construction, and the one at the phase of, the one was the mechanism of blockage. So when we talk about the stage of construction, do we say about embryos, about newborns, about more older people? Which phase it is specifically?
no, that can happen at any time. Say even in the phase of embryo, if there is maternal obesity, if the mother is overweight, and or if she is under stress and she is in the accumulatory phase, that translates to what is happening in the fetus as well. So fetus would naturally be instigated to go into a survival or accumulation mode. That is one way. Or the other is if the mother is in the in that accumulatory mode, in the sense Santarpana type. So we'll put it as Santarpana type or stress type. In the Santarpana type, she is indulging more in excess without being considerate to the body. Then it naturally reduces the feedback, importance of the feedback mechanism even in the embryo or the fetus. So the fetus is also accumulating regardless of the feedback that it receives. And when this feedback mechanism is repeatedly suppressed in the body, then the brain learns pretty quickly to ignore or to turn it off, because you repeat or you suppress it or ignore it for say 3 or 4 times, then the brain starts learning that it is not important to you. So it quickly dispenses the function, and the feedback mechanism is usually lost unless you very consciously generate it later on. So if that happens in the fetal life itself, then there is very less chance of it being turned on later on in life.
Okay, but the same patterns may occur later in life also, right?
Yes.
Okay, next question. So what are the common recommendations for people with excessive body mass? Is it just physical exercises, or what activities can be recommended, just if we talk about activities?
I would say the first and foremost thing is being mindful. Being mindful of your body as well as its requirements. Where is the strain? Where is the stress? Find it out, and what is happening in the body that is leading to accumulation. Is it that it is a stress response, or is it that it is just a lethargy or unwillingness to spend more? So if you figure that out, then you will know how to deal with it. If it is the unwillingness to spend more, then you'll have to initiate yourself or to motivate yourself to do more. If it is a stress response and it is going on accumulation mode, then the first thing to do is to reduce the stress, to separate the fact that in today's stress, in the stress that we have in 21st century, you don't need to accumulate. Rather, you have to learn to let go. So then the body also learns to let go of things. It doesn't have to accumulate. If it starts accumulating, in all of the centuries in the past, there was crisis for food, and people had to accumulate. Body learned to accumulate. Today's and the future centuries, it is about letting things go, not holding on to things. Psychologically, it is the same. Physiologically, it is the same. And so, even when you're doing any kind of physical activity, or it is with the food, the first and foremost thing is to know or to regenerate this feedback mechanism and a conscious understanding of what is required and what you should be letting out. So if this is regenerated, if this kind of intelligence is built back into your cells, then we would not have this kind of problem, or at least we'll be in a better place to. So activities or diet, being more mindful of your own requirements and how to break it down is more necessary.
Okay, so we can clearly see the trend here in Russia that we have more and more people with excess body mass, and there was no such tendency before. It can be due to food, it can be due to stresses, but what can be is there some specific cause for this tendency on the national level, and what are the general ways to revert this tendency?
Well, I don't think it is only in Russia. It is a global phenomenon. Increased obesity or increasing accumulation condition. It is a global phenomenon, and it is not only in the physical aspect as well. You see, people are used to accumulate more. That is the human tendency, and whenever it is available, it is accumulated. That is again the nature of human beings. So it is so ingrained in the genes that you need to accumulate. It could be the wealth, it could be material, it could be anything. Try to accumulate, and then that is the same mechanism that happens with the body as well. When it is available, it tries to accumulate. So to break it down, you need to reset the way we think, and that should be consciously done. Human organism or any conscious organism, it is not just the body that you have to see. It is the mixture of body and mind. and the way you think impacts on the body. I'm putting so much of stress on the thoughts because that ultimately is the one that rules all of the functioning. You don't function because of the chemicals that are there in the body. It is not just that. Otherwise, you would just be like anything that is grown in the lab. You add this hormone and a certain reaction happens. You remove this substance, and there is another kind of reaction happening. You work it more, there is something happening. It is like the lab experiment that we do. But real life circumstances are not like lab experiments. You go through a lot of things in your life. You go through the experiences and circumstances, and then there is a part of you that is responding to the current happenings, and there is a part of you that the information that has been carried through generations that responds to a circumstance by the information that it knows. So because this century, or because in the current times that we are living, is so very different to most of the times that is recorded in the, or that is there in the recorded history. You have to either go back to the time when probably this kind of, this kind of circumstance had previously occurred, and that is only in the fables and stories, or like in the textbook of Ayurveda, which is much more than much older than the recorded history. And we do not really have the idea of what kind of lifestyle it was. Or you have to consciously look into the present circumstance and understand that we do not have deficiency mostly. There is abundance of everything, and abundance to a level that the basic human functions are not necessary anymore. And with the advent of high technology, you don't even need to think, right? With the artificial intelligence, it has compromised our ability to rationally think as well. With the smartphones, half of the things that we used to do earlier can all be done with like sitting in one place. Anything you want, it is just on your fingertips. You don't even have to get out of your room or get out of your chair and move somewhere when you can do everything, like turn on the light or close the door or open the gate or do anything. You can just do from where you're sitting. So we are not in any kind of deficient situation. The only thing that is deficient is how much the spending method. So either we have to spend more or take in less, accumulate less. Which part do we want to do is something that we have to consciously decide. And this is on a global scale.
Okay, next question. So can overeating be the result of deficiency of some nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and so on?
Yes, overweighting as a result of nutrients or deficiency of nutrients will always be triggered from the body. Now, that kind of overeating or that kind of triggered eating, the person would be looking for specific things. General overeating of all sorts of things is more or less a reduced feedback mechanism. There is another type of overeating, and specifically related to, again, specific things, as in case of craving for sugar or craving for certain substances. That could also be related to stress or a psychological feeling of wanting safety. Because sweetness or certain tastes are known to give more comfort or feeling of safety, and that is why people go for it. So it is not always to say that overeating any specific or everything, any specific substance, or going for everything is always triggered by deficiencies. No, there could be many reasons why a person is indulging in overeating.
Do you have time to answer more questions, or should we stop?
How many more are there?
We have I think we have 3 questions on the topic and 1 not on the topic.
Okay, then I think, yeah, we will take them.
Okay, can you give any recommendations to parents of obese children?
Well, with children, again, it depends upon what age they are. Because children below 8, it is very difficult to assess it, as well as difficult to manage. You have to give them, but not really give them both. But if the children are above 8, and 8 I say because that is the new pre-adolescence. Adolescence you would have ideally thought is or 11 or 12, but these days, I mean, especially after COVID and all those changes that happened during the COVID years, adolescence is coming much early, and that is why I'm saying 8. So after the age of 8, you should be, like the parents should be taking more of control of what the child is eating and what the child is doing. Although it is very difficult to manage at that age, because adolescence by definition is something that defies parental control, but it is very important to be careful at that time. Before adolescence, or before the age of 8, it is necessary that you feed the kapha, because that is essentially the phase of kapha, and you have to build it. And I would rather suggest that taking a slight risk about the child's weight is all right, as long as you give the right kind of substances. So in any age, right from the birth or even during pregnancy to any of the age group, reduce ultra processed food. Go for as natural as possible. And you don't even have to look for high fiber, high protein, high this or that. That kind of processing may not be required. Go for as natural, as original, and as minimally processed as possible. So whatever processing is required, let it be minimal, and the rest of the end product, if at all it is possible for you to reach that end product at home, then that would be good. And that means that it would be coming back to home cooking and making food fresh at home, and not really accumulating again. So you accumulate things, it is the same thing that gets translated into the body. You make it more and more concentrated and nutritious. It won't build volume. It will build nutrition, yes, of course. So if we make 5 ml equivalent to 50 ml, then you can take the 5 ml, which is equivalent to the nutrition of 50 ml, but that 5 ml will not give a sense of satisfaction. And that is why there is higher chance of taking more volume of this 5 ml concentrate, 5 ml. If you take 50 ml of that, then that would be very much disastrous to the body, and that is the problem with ultra processed or ultra refined foods. They are so reduced in terms of their quality that it is very high concentration and shoots up the parameters of the blood or the body very quickly. And that is why go for as natural as possible. That would be my suggestion to any group, and specifically for the children.
Hopefully I managed to translate it. Okay, so okay, are the deficiencies that occur in the body, are they caused with blockage of channels and weak agni? Is that a correct statement?
Yes, it is possible.
But it is not the only.
Yes, if at all it is not supplied from any of the external source at all, then that could be the supply issue. But um, that is rare, although not totally something to rule out. Oh, sorry, I think I got logged out.
Yeah, just for a little. Okay, so you were talking about some supply from outside and then something else.
So it may be a supply issue, or that is the food that we are eating may not have all of the nutrients that should be required. That is also possible, and specifically in the context of uh, compromised methods of growing food. So it is not totally and that we can rule out that the source is not rich enough in all of the essential nutrients. But it is also largely possible that it is because of the weak Agni or the blocked Srotases that the deficiencies are arising.
Okay, and the last question, are there some specific life hacks, so to say, for women in menopause period?
To reduce weight, I'm thinking, but see, menopause period. If you are just about overweight, I don't think you should be specifically forcing your body to reduce weight, because the fat in the body around menopause is there for specific purpose. You'd lose the regular progesterone, or the hormonal balance would be out of place during menopause, and especially because the ovarian functions are not active anymore, and the load of producing the always on the fat cells. So excess of adipose deposition happens during the perimenopausal period to prepare the body to produce progesterone or the hormones from other sources. So if you deplete the body of that essential fat cells or the accumulations, then you're depleting the raw material for the production of progesterone, and you're good possibility that you would end up with low progesterone and or low estrogen, and then there would be extra supplements that you would require to take to maintain these balances. So see, again, that is what I meant, that you have to be mindful of what is the ideal weight for you, not the number. If it is causing a physiological or psychological problem to you in terms of regular functioning, only then you need to manage it. Otherwise, trust the system, and be mindful and be more conscious, but you don't have to actively do anything. And if at all you have to do that, it is required to maintain the normal functioning of your body, then I would say that go for a diet control. Give a long range nutrition. That is something that would take good amount of time to get digested, but don't compromise on nutrition. So substance that you should be taking should take a prolonged period for digestion, so that it doesn't give you a hunger response too quickly. But do not compromise on the nutrition.
Okay, I think we've finished. Oh, I don't know,
Okay.
probably it's a short one. Let's take one more and we finish after that. Okay, so can blockage of Schrotas cause ischemic heart disease?
Oh, yes, yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, by definition of it.
Okay, I think we finished with the questions today.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. And thank you all for coming for this presentation. And I hope that we'll get to see you all later in November. Namaste.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Yashashwini. I'll see you next time.